Evening, everyone. I know that it's a little late, but this is your closing comment for tonight. It's Wednesday, and this is video number 685. Today was just horrendous. I'm kind of two minds here, and I'll tell you why. For the most part, the economic news was poor. In other words, not what was expected. Durable goods orders were down. They were expected to be up. Transportation, they were down. They were expected to be up. Orders were down. They were expected to be up. The Dow was up strongly during the day, managed to eke out a small loss of $3, but market internals were 1.5 to 1 to the downside. The big moves were in the NASDAQ, which was down pretty much most of the day. Certainly the big names were down. We finished down 266.81, or a shade over 2%, but the biggest loser was again the Russell, down 51.42, or 2.35%. The Russell peaked 9% ago, and to give you an idea, 9% ago was literally 6 or 7 trading days ago. Transportations were up 144, or 1%, and the S&P was down 21.38, which is about 0.55, so nothing overwhelming. But the advanced declines in the NASDAQ were 3 to 1 down. The reason that I said I'm kind of betwixt and between a little here is because everybody wants to buy stocks when they come down. But when you have a series of days like the last couple, buying seems to be the last thing in everybody's mind. I'll give you an example of some of the things that have occurred in the last couple of days, last couple of weeks, and how they've manifested. We had Intel trading on earnings and guidance and a $20 billion investment in 2 chip factories in Arizona, trading $68 last night, which was nicely up. This morning, the high was $65.75, which was still up. Managed to close $62.04, down $1.44. Now, that was only down 2.2%, but it was 10% off last night's high. That's pretty extreme. One that I mentioned this morning, Dolphin Entertainment, DLPN. This is a company that is in a deal for NFTs, non-fungible tokens, which seem to be part of the rage. They're in a deal with HOFV, which is Hall of Fame Resorts and Entertainment, which is a big sports and memorabilia and etc. So Dolphin in the last 2 days has gone from 5 to 18 to 38 pre-market this morning. Managed to close 16.92, actually down $1.41, 48% off this morning's high. Hall of Fame did a little better because it hasn't run quite as far, but it was $2.50, traded up to $7.64, closed $5.15, but that was actually still up 30%, $1.17. And we had some very big names that have really performed. I mean, literally on Friday morning, part of CNBC's coverage pre-open was about the fact that Viacom was the number one performer in the S&P 500. In the last 13 weeks, the stock has gone from 34 to 101.97. That 101.97 was literally the 15th of this month. Today, however, it closed 69.73, down 27.62. So the stock was down 28%, and the issue here is that they just landed a huge contract. This was all the negotiation with all of these streaming services, and etc., and TV networks for NFL games. They won a 10-year contract with the NFL worth $23 billion, and as a result of that, they decided to do a $3 billion offering, partially common stock, partially convertible preferred. This is a company that had a 100 million share short position, which is meaningful. It's not GameStop, but then again, it's actually a real operating company that's been making money. So they did a total of 20 million shares, and the stock is down from 102 to 70 in literally 6-7 trading days. It was up 13 weeks in a row, and 18 of the last 20 weeks, going literally from $27 to 102. Also, Discovery, DISCA, same basic situation, although not as extreme. In November, the stock was 1907. It traded up as high as 78. And today closed 61.5, down 15.77, or 20%. Also in the news, we had Jeffrey Sternlick, who is number one, bright, number two, very presentable, and number three, has a great track record. Talking about SPACs this morning, they have 2 or 3 he's Starwood. And he basically said there are plenty of good ones and there are plenty of bad ones, and the easy money has been made, and clearly that is pretty obvious in the way that some of these are acting. There are a whole bunch of them. You have to remember that the initial shareholders put up the money basically at $10 a share, and if they don't want to do a deal that's presented, they can vote it down and get their money back. So you would think, $10 is a pretty good floor. For the last 2 years, this is where a lot of the hedge funds have been going to kind of hide. It was an easy way for them to play the upside of IPOs and IPOs through SPACs, while being involved at $10 and not really having much risk. And by the way, most SPACs are units, which means that there is both the common stock and a warrant that lasts for some period of time. So there's almost an automatic kicker in it. The SPACs have a lot of them have just collapsed. There's one that I'm involved in, OPEN, which is a Chamath Palihapitiya SPAC, and did very, very well. This is open. I've been involved in it for quite a while, and I think that I'm in it here at $12.61. I have sold stock. I sold stock here. I actually sold stock in the high 30s Today the stock closed 22.65. For the week it's down 4.88 or 18%. Today it was down 11.5% or almost $3. So there's a lot of trouble in SPAC land. Also not doing overwhelmingly well are the cruise and airlines. The other day I mentioned COVID, variant all of a sudden from 3 or 5 or 8% of the quote UK variant. All of a sudden testing is now showing 50%. We have lockdowns, as I mentioned this morning, in Europe. We have Germany has problems. Netherlands has problems. Italy was supposed to start carnivals. Costa Cruises was supposed to start there. It has not. And today, the cruise lines got another blow. They were supposed to be starting in early July on our side of the Atlantic, and the CDC has now suspended that until November the 1st. So not great. We also have a bunch of news coming out tomorrow. It's Thursday, which means it's claims day, continuing claims, initial claims. We'll see how that looks. But there is also some other news. There is the third look at the fourth quarter GDP, as well as the GDP price deflator. And we're long natural gas through UNG, and there is a major report tomorrow, so we'll see which way that breaks. I believe we're long at 33. I think they closed 31 or 32, the call, so I'm not terribly concerned about it. Could work out to be a good trade if it goes in our direction. Also, some of the meme stocks, GME, GameStop, a company that, as Jim Cramer, that self-aggrandizing ass, was talking about all the great things that they're doing. Those are things that they should have been doing 3 and 5 years ago. The stock was as high as 200 in the last week. Closed today 180.34, down 61.41 or 34%. To give you an idea of how difficult it is to play that stock because of the volatility. They had earnings the day before yesterday, and a couple of days ago, when the stock was trading close to 200, you had to pay $2.50 for a call for a put that expires on Friday, the 26th. So you still have 2 days. You had to pay $2.50 for a put at 100. So the stock had to go down 50%, and people were still paying 2.5% for that put. Well, with the stock down here at 120, those puts closed around $4.70, which is a nice gain. It's 80% or so, but the stock had to go down 40% in order to make that gain. So it is really hectic out there, and it is really dangerous. Also, AMC, the theater company, a little bit better than GameStop because they actually can make some money, and they utilized their Reddit popularity to raise some money and take them out of the horrendous position they were in. A couple of months ago, the stock was $1.91. It has since traded to 20, back to 5, back to 14.5. Today it closed 9.41, down $1.25 or 12%, but for the week it's down $4.52 or 33%. So there's a lot of tough stuff going on here. All of the FAANG stocks were down. And one of my favorite groups, and we'll go to it and I'll show you, is the work from home group. That is this particular watch list. Zoom, DocuSign, Teladoc, Salesforce, Workday, Peloton, and the ETF. Take a look at some of these losses. Zoom traded as high as 588 a couple of months ago. It's now trading 315, and it was down 7% today. DocuSign down almost 5% today. Teladoc, a great company, was a great company before the pandemic, down 5.7%. Peloton, which, I think is not as overwhelming as some people think it is. Exercise bikes that cost several $1,000s. Stock moved from, in September, it was, let's take a look. In September, it was selling for $10.50. First rally was up to the 28 area, came back down, traded to 15, has traded as high, I'm sorry, wrong one, PTON. In the spring last year, it was $17, has since traded up as high as 170. This is a weekly chart. Today closed 102, so it's down It's down $70 on 170. So about 40%, 35-40%. It is down 5.8% for the week. It is down today 10% on the day. So it rallied a little earlier in the week and then collapsed back down. I mean, these stocks are really getting badly hurt. But again, this is why I'm kind of two minds here. They look terrible, and usually that's when you want to be a buyer. So you can do with that what you wish. Okay, back to the futures here. I just want to give you a brief look at these. This is tonight's Bitcoin. I have been talking about, I'm going to go to the weekly because I want to show you something. I had looked at the area around 45,000 as support originally, and about 53,000 as resistance. When we broke out of that, we went straight to 61,000 and change. Now we have come all the way back here, and tonight we're actually trading below here. Those are those highs at 53,000 I was talking about. Now, the 5-day has rolled over. Let me make this a little bigger so you can see it. The 5-day has rolled here. My concern was that it has hit this blue line so many times and bounced up, with the exception here. I mean, as I mentioned this morning, this is a move from 20,000 to 42,700. So this is well over 100%. So pulling back and consolidating is not all that unusual. And of course, we bounced off that line and made a new high up here at 58,000, and then came back down, hit it, started back up, went through it but closed above it, made a new all-time high, and then in the last 2 days we hit it. Tonight we are solidly below it. This is a problem for Bitcoin, because when we have markets that are down like this, there will be a lot of margin calls, probably even tomorrow. And as I've explained in the past, when people get margin calls calls, a lot of the time they don't sell what is causing the margin calls. They sell what they can in order to raise the money. If you get a margin call, it means that your account is below 35% on maintenance, which means you really only have about a third or less in equity. So if you get a $10,000 call, you have to sell $30,000 worth of stock. This is why options get liquidated. This is why lower price stocks get liquidated. This is why Russell 2000 stocks, a lot of which are small cap, get liquidated because they're not even marginable. People don't own them on margin. So instead of selling 30,000, they only have to sell 10,000. But the liquidity isn't there either. So that's the issue. So Bitcoin is down tonight about $2,000. The gold is basically unchanged. Let's take a look at some of the others and see what's going on here. Last I looked, oil was down slightly, down 42 cents after being up $3.42 today, so that's not too bad. Gold is basically unchanged, down 20 cents after being up $8 today. The biggest problem here really has been the dollar. The dollar is 92.58, and it has been up on a daily basis, which is a problem, because dollar denominated things become more expensive. So let's take a longer look at the dollar. And as you can see, it made a bottom here, tried to rally, came back, made a higher low. We are right on the 200-day moving average, which has been falling. We could get up into the 93 area, which would be around here, but I'm not sure that it's going to go any further, and I'm certain that it's not going to bust right through this 94 area. I just don't think it has the strength. You have to remember that dollar deficits, stimulus, what's being talked about now as a $3 trillion. Amazing how fast that went from billion to trillion. Infrastructure deal may be on the horizon. So, all of that is going to continue to cause dollar weakness, not dollar strength. All right, everyone, sorry for the lateness here. I will get the daily note out shortly. It'll be an abridged version like last night, because it's pointless to look at absolutely everything in each of the sectors when they were all down. And I'll be back first thing in the morning with those claims numbers and the GDP numbers, and nat gas comes out, I think, around 10:30 East Coast time. So we'll have to just see how the market reacts to that. Have a good evening.